Let's have it.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Senate 109. I am Dennis Adigunloye. Budget defenses continued to come in thick and fast during the week as the various standing committees of the Senate welcomed several ministries, departments and agencies to defend their 2022 proposals. The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, in the week said the rehabilitation of the National Arts Theatre in Lagos is expected to be completed in November 2022. This was while defending the ministry's 7.8 billion naira 2022 budget before the Senate Committee on Culture and Tourism.
The capital related to culture sector is 778,060,757 naira.
In line with this year's budget defense, we should try to engage private participation to build the tourism industry. Dubai, as hot as it is, as bad weather it is doing well in tourism. And it is not necessarily that government must drive tourism of every country, but government must give incentives.
The digital switch over too, sir, by the time it's completed, it would really set the tone for the cultural revolution of this country, sir. If this administration, by the grace of God, is able by November 2022, sir, commission the rehabilitated National Theatre, I think it will be a big achievement for this administration, because this theatre was built in 1976, and for almost 45 years, sir, it had never received any facelift.
The Senate has asked the National Directorate of Employment to provide evidence of payment and mode of distribution of funds to beneficiaries of the Special Public Works Program across the 774 local government areas. This was at the defense session by the agency before the Senate Committee on Employment, Labour and Productivity.
What is being proposed is 5,474,367,517 naira.
What is responsible for your getting so much money and utilizing so little?
Page 3 is talking of the extended special public work 774 job service wide rollover in 2021. We want to know how did you pay the money?
What we normally send to Accountant General are the names.
You're only those who generate the names?
Yes, names of participants, their account numbers, their BVN, their bank details.
Each and every one of them that have been paid, we have all the details.
It is not as if this government has not approved standard gauge for Port Harcourt, Maiduguri. But what is politically, practically possible is that they must have railway before we leave. Or if they don't have it, they must see that we're constructing before we leave. Already as we're talking now, we don't even have the money to do Ibadan to Kano. That's why on our own, we are funding Kano to Kaduna while looking for the money.
Ensuring that what is due to the Council for the Delegation of Freight Forwarding in Nigeria
is given to them.
The Cancer Fund is operated as counterpart fund aimed at attracting contributions from private sector and other stakeholders to treat patients who meet indigent patient selection criteria.
Don't wait even for the development partners before whatever private that will bring. With Nigerian money, let it start.
Our desire is to see that revenue generation from this sector is second to none.
Let's talk together. Let's find out what is stagnating the development in that industry. When you carry us along, we will find ways and means of ensuring that the budget allocation for solid mineral is in line with our dream of what we expect that industry to turn to.
The Nigerian Army is engaged in virtually all the states in a duty that is not conventional to them. We must commend Mr. President and, of course, the Nigerian Army and other security agencies for the visible improved performance that we see.
The Nigerian Army is gradually implementing the Nigerian Army Order of Battle 2016. This has led to the Nigerian Army expansion from 5 to 8 divisions to bridge the gap being exploited by bandits and other criminal elements. This therefore calls for a review of the subsisting envelope budget system, which over the years have been a major challenge in adequately funding the Nigerian Army for its constitutional roles. It is my hope, sir, that this distinguished committee would passionately look into this with a view to correcting this anomaly.
Now, preserving public confidence in judicial processes is vital for entrenching a sustainable democratic society. This is, however, subject to the enactment of relevant laws by the legislature. Chief Justice of Nigeria, Ibrahim Tanko Mohammed, said this during an oversight by the Senate Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters in Abuja.
I'm very confident that our legislature is doing the right thing, and I am sure that they are observant of what we do.
The President of the Senate is fully committed to any reform and legislative initiatives that would ensure effective and efficient justice delivery system and respect for the rule of law.
More funding is needed in order to meet the competing needs of the courts and judicial bodies.
That is one thing that we all have to do. We are leaders in our own rights. We have to continue to preach for peace. We have to continue to preach for understanding. We need to continue to bring Nigerians closer to each other. Ordinarily, most average Nigerians are people that love Nigeria.
It's important to support you and the President in ensuring that Nigeria takes its place of pride in the Committee of Nations. So we are glad that they have done us proud.
Senate Leader Yahaya Abdullahi in this exclusive speaks on various issues, including what he believes is the worrying trend of the huge turnover of legislators every 4 years.
People tend to question, whether this country should remain together. That's the question. But the answer is, if it doesn't, what happens? If it doesn't, everybody loses. You know, it's better, like some of our leaders have said, the cost of division is much, much, much larger than the cost of staying. And staying together is an opportunity for us to sit down and look at the edges where there are challenges and things so that we can be able to smooth them out. You know, no journey, you know, in nationhood is complete. You know, you can see even the challenges that older nations, you know, are facing. You know, check the challenges that Britain is now facing, what has faced, what has happened to the United States. You know, the issue of the racial tensions, you know, and inequalities that are tearing the fabric of the nation apart. You can see the shown that Trump was trying to take the nation into another direction, and how they were able to come together. And the wars they were forced to fight, and at the end of the day they won none. These are all travails of nation building. You learn from mistakes that you have made in the past. And I think this country, you know, has attained some level of greatness and maturity, you know, by not succumbing to the pressure, you know, to bring unbearable hardship on the people of this country, you know, through unnecessary divergences and unnecessary tensions, you know, divisive tensions, you know, all around. And I think we will weather the storm. And once these issues are resolved, you know, right now we are having challenges of banditry, insecurity, and these are things that will come and go. We had several challenges that we went even to a civil war, we came back together. Few nations ever went to war and came back together as a nation. So we thank God, you know, that we have attained where we are today. We have so far clocked about 22 years as a democracy, and the democratic challenges are there, you know, and I think the democratic journey, we have learned a lot. You know, for example, we in the Senate and the National Assembly, you know, has grown both in stature and experience. You know, a lot of the challenges that we have faced, you know, really was the absence of a legislature for more than 30-something years. So the legislature is one arm of the government that is in its youth, but it is in its infancy. Still yet, people are not comfortable, you know, with the legislature. They give us all sorts of names. We know we are the most unpopular arm of the government, you know, but we will try to endear ourselves to Nigerians by trying to do the right thing and by trying to educate Nigerians about what the legislature is all about. The legislature is about making laws, you know, ensuring that there is good governance, ensuring that there is accountability, you know, by all sections of the government, and also ensuring there is popular engagement in the way in which, you know, the nation is managed. A lot of the challenges for me that I see in this country really are not really at the federal level from my own experience. Most of the challenges in governance, you know, really are at the state level, because, you know, people tend to focus more on what is happening at the federal level without taking what is happening at the state level, interrogate what is happening at the state level, because the resources of this country are more than evenly divided about what is given to the states and what comes to the federal. And somehow the media and several other commentators focus only on the federal, at the federal level. They don't look and interrogate the way in which governance is taking place at the states. A lot of the challenges of insecurity, you know, are on the ways in which governance and governance infrastructure at the state level are managed, at the level of security, at the level of resource utilization, you know, at the level of resource allocation, and at the levels of management. You know, when they run into trouble, they always rush to the federal government. But, you know, there is a federal allocation committee every month, resources that come to the nation. You are given your own resources. You know, innovate. Find the ways of sharing whatever resources come to your state with the people. Everybody abdicates his responsibility. Okay, the Constitution says that the police and the army are very, of course, the police and the army are very reliable. But we, in the National Assembly, are trying to address some of these knotty constitutional issues so that we can devolve more powers and more responsibility to the states. It depends on how you manage those powers. If you are famished, you are so hungry, and you don't have, you are dying of thirst. People don't rush to give you too much water because that will kill you. So a lot of these things have to come, gradually so that you can be able to manage the situation well. But we are trying in the constitutional amendment process to make sure that, there is devolution of powers and responsibilities and also of resources. Tinker with the revenue allocation formula, tinker with the way in which the local government allocations are managed, tinker in the way in which the states manage their judiciary and their state assemblies, tinker in the ways in which the entire issue of governance is sorted out at the state level. And at the federal level, we are trying to perfect as much as we can, to interrogate the executive. A lot of people have called this particular National Assembly, alabaster. Well, we don't mind. That is their perception. But we don't think we are the best. What we do know is that, we tackle the problems of this country from a position of understanding and responsibility. Because once we come out on every single flimsy excuse, we come into, conflict with the administration. We don't have to come out and start shouting, to show that we are not happy with the way the administration is run. We are part of this government. This government is run by both the executive arm and by the legislature. Therefore, you don't take a knife and put it into your stomach, and then you start saying hallelujah. If there are those kind of issues, we have linkages with the administration. We have linkages with the executive. There is no minister of government that we cannot call, to come and to account for everything. It's not everything that we rush to the press and say that this is happening. No, we can call him and say, what is happening? We had this money. Okay, our committee should go and report to us. Not everything is going to come to plenary. So we have been doing our job without hurting Nigerians. Because if the moment when we come and create a climate of fear, and a climate of suspicion and open hostility with the executive arm of government, we will be getting our salaries and allowances, but the people will suffer because the work of the government is going to be ground to a halt. This is the kind of no legislator of worth is salt. No legislator that is responsible will come out and graduate and ground its own administration. And the Nigerian people will suffer. Nothing will work simply because we have some grounds, one body that we have access to what is happening in the government. A lot of these issues, we don't have to come to the gallery and start fighting ourselves. It's completely unnecessary. So whatever names we are called, we take the names, we take the thing. But deep in us, we know exactly where we are coming from. We know exactly that we are handling the issues that Nigerians have elected us to come and do with great honor and with great responsibility. We think that is a privilege, that our people have done to us to elect us to come to this institution. And we are trying to, as much as possible, not to not to dishonor Nigerians, not to get Nigerians to be worried, that we have not served them well. We know that this 9th Senate, history will be kind, to us by what we have been able to do, which I think in the past no other Senate has been able to do. We have been able to pass legislations. A lot of them we wouldn't have done for the President to even look at them and sign them, if we have not tackled some of these issues with understanding and competence. A lot of the insecurities and all the problems that we have seen around are actually around the failure, of the need for paradigm shift, so that we can be able to articulate a system to have an institutional regime and institutional presence, that can be able to get investment that can drive development in the real sector of the economy, so that there is going to be employment, that there will be growth, that there is going to be development. But that requires paradigm shift. That requires, governance to be changed so that policy, regulation, and development are handled by institutions separately. If we do that, and this is very difficult. It's very difficult, but that paradigm shift has to happen. And if we do it, a lot of the insecurity, whenever you find peace, there must be justice. Justice is the anchor that you anchor peace. If you want peace, do justice. But the only way you can do justice in a large populated economy like Nigeria is to open it up so that the private sector can invest, so that people can find value in the system and put their future, in the face of the country. But this country has a great future, and I'm sure that with the earth-shaking legislations that this assembly has started, we have only about 1.5 years to go, for less than that. We hope that the next legislature will be better than we are, and we hope but one thing that I would like to also use the opportunity to say, that there is a problem in this country regarding the performance of the National Assembly. A lot of this has to do with the turnover of members. Yes. You see, legislature is one institution of government. You see, the executive arm of government has a whole bureaucracy. It has civil service and all this other thing. And there are only two people there, the president and the vice president. But they have all the array of the government institutions around them with the institutional memory there. But legislature requires, people who have institutional memory. The civil service of legislature is not like that one of the executive. Our own civil service is just to do what we want them to do. They have to pass the bills the way we want them. They have to do this. So the moment you remove a legislator, you are removing a whole knowledge of governance, of lawmaking, and then bringing somebody to start learning again. When I came into the Senate in my first term, despite my background and experience, for 2 years I didn't know what was happening there. It was only after I started learning, and then after I started learning, then 1 year I had to go to politics. So legislators grow with knowledge and experience over the years. This huge turnover. Tomorrow you say somebody will just want to come and become a lawmaker. You take somebody like my friend Kabiruga, who has been here for 3 terms or 4 terms, and then you want to bring somebody to start learning, because you don't like his face, then you want to elect somebody to bring him. That person you bring will not have the kind of experience and knowledge about legislation and about how to go about legislative business like that. So when you find mature democracies, like the United States, you find some people being in the legislature for years, sometimes until they retire, like Edward Kennedy, like the president, even the Republicans, some of them have been there, like they are indigents of the legislature itself. They know what has happened before, they know what is happening now, and they can project the future. So legislators, as much as possible, should be allowed to mature. Of course, if somebody is caught doing something crazy, or caught not being diligent on his work, or somebody is corrupt, of course, the people will change him. But just not on the sheer thing. When some people will say that, okay, this man comes from this local government, he had done his term, so the next time, senator, go to the other local government. No, the next time, the other senator, no. You don't do that with the legislature. You don't do that with the legislature. Legislature allow legislators to mature as much as possible. That's why this wholesale change, and that's what has undermined the stability of the institution itself and its value. Because once every electoral cycle, you remove nearly 3/4, of the legislature, and then bring in fresh horns. What do they know about how to go about this kind of thing? So the only way, in fact, which we were able to do to stabilize this, and thanks to the current Senate President, is that when we are going out on the 8th Senate, we sat down with the party and insisted that as much as possible, please leave the people who are there unless they are so unacceptable or something happens. So as much as possible within the APC caucus, there is a large number of people who have been there, in the legislature, also within the PDP caucus. So a lot of the people who are there, have been there. Maybe the turnover in the House of Representatives is much larger than this will be in the Senate. So we hope that in the future, unless somebody, we should maintain this tradition, of keeping knowledgeable and hardworking legislators in place, so that this nation and its economy and the lawmaking process can be stable.
Distinguished Leader Yahaya Abdullahi, many thanks.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Well, that concludes this edition of the program. Many thanks for being a part of it. Thanks for watching. Until next week, I am Dennis Adigunloye. Bye for now.